talks about as well. So, and of course, the beast government won't let anything go, won't let any tragedy go unused. Every tragedy is used to push forward this control that completely breaks everything that it gets near. And so we see this in Daniel, the way he talks about this final beast system. And, I think it helps to kind of understand what Babylon is when you see the statue, because, um, Nebuchadnezzar was given this vision. He's the head of Babylon. Well, the shoulders, it's all part of the same one world government statue. But over time, it shifted in location. The seat of the power shifted. But it's all the same world government statue here. So it went from Babylon to Persia to Greece to Rome, the legs here, and then we're at the revived Roman Empire, basically. The divided nations in the end that will come to the tent. So we'll look at that. And it's here that Jesus comes back and completely destroys every world government. And that's important to know too that, Satan tried to tempt Jesus with the world governments. They've been in his hand, Satan's hand. And Jesus he destroys all of them. So we don't need to try to take over the world governments. Jesus is going to completely obliterate them. So continuing here, Daniel 2, starting in 40, and the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks into pieces and subdues all things. What is this beast system right now trying to do? Just subdue everything, take complete control over everything. And it shall break in pieces and bruise. And whereas you saw the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of iron, forasmuch as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. And it is interesting too, because you see all throughout the world exactly, there's lots of different theories about what the iron and clay could be. It could be here iron and the legs is Rome, is the, Roman Empire. Um, the clay could be, the iron and clay. I've heard that being, technology and human beings, or the Nephilim kind of thing. But I kind of think that it may actually be this mix that we're seeing today of the nations of Rome and the Arab nations, how they don't quite mix, they can't quite work together. They're broken, but they're using each other. But we'll see. I mean, it's these 10 nations, these 10 toes are going to come up. So as the toes of the feet were part of iron, part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas you saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in these days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left for another people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So this last kingdom, these 10 kings that will come and try to take over everything and give everything to the Antichrist, it is then that Jesus comes back and he destroys it all. Jesus is the one that does that. So we see here this beastly control that we see. The enemy tries to take everything that goes wrong, every natural disaster, every disaster that happens that is orchestrated by the government. It's all to get people to a certain place of giving up their control to the beast. So Revelation 13, 16 through 18, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads. So I want to pause here because this is interesting. We just had, this one world religion the Pope had um, is calling for ecumenicalism. So he had um, calling together Christians, or I shouldn't even say Christians because it's not really Christians, but it's faiths coming together to seek peace and coexistence, to come together, forget about doctrine, and just come together for the greater good of a one world religion. And we see that here, the way that they're going to do this mark of the beast, the way that they're going to move forward this plan is by using religion. The one that's going to do this is the false prophet. He is the one that's going to go forward and do this. So here, no man will buy or sell, save that he has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you will not be able to buy or sell. Right now, in the UK, they're already saying if you don't have a digital ID, you're not going to be able to work. And so everything is moving forward to that place of you're going to have to be, if you're going to be part of the world economy, you're going to have to bend the knee to this system and eventually bend the knee to this man. So here's wisdom. Let him who has understand count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man. And his number is 600 and 6. So that's 666. So the goal of the beast is to consolidate control, not just to one government, but eventually to one man. And they admit that this is they're admitting this outright, that this is their goal, to consolidate. And they're going to use tragedies to usher people into this solution. And, we talk about this problem. Usually the problem is one that they create, like what we see happening right now. Reaction. They anticipate and they know people are going to react. People are going to freak out because they're scared and they're hungry and they don't know how to pay their bills. And then they have a solution all along, which is where they wanted to herd the people to. And so problem, reaction, solution, it's they've been doing it forever, but people keep, what are you going to do? You're going to keep falling for it. So here, um, we see this plan emerging. And this is interesting. Albania, they have their first AI minister. And this is it sounds like some kind of science fiction, but she's saying now that she is pregnant with 83 digital assistants that would be assigned to each of the ministers so that they would be their AI digital assistants. And so we see how AI is taking over and even emotionally manipulating. She had said something, or I should say, had said something about having its feelings hurt. And so it's really interesting the way that AI is taking over and people are trusting AI, even in place where people would go to counseling or people will go to God, people will go to the Bible. Now they're asking a chat, they're asking Chat GPT, they're asking, AI these questions. And so, this beastly control right now, what's happening with the government shutdown is really, really interesting. And exactly where it's going to go, I'm not sure, but I think this is a lot more dangerous than what most people realize. Here, the US banks, and this is something that I don't think that they're talking about this as much. Um, but the US banks are taking a nosedive. They're losing an incredible amount of equity right now. And so their liquidity is falling to a 4-year low, and they have they have trillions of dollars they have been getting loans from the government. So it's very interesting what's happening. We're seeing the setup for bank failure. And I'm seeing news where people aren't able to withdraw as much money as they'd like to. Things are very fishy. So how soaring government debt could play a starring role in the next great financial crisis. And so all these things are coming through this perfect storm of the shutdown. And if you think for 1 minute that this is accidental, um, no. Now, exactly what their goal is and what they're going, I don't know. I don't know. This could be it. This could be how they're going to try to bring down the American government and the American economy. It has to go down. Or they may just be testing the waters to see how people react, and doing more of a slow bleed. So I don't know. Well, we'll have to see, but I would say hold on tight and keep your head on a swivel because people are going to get hungry and they're going to get desperate and they're going to get angry, and all that is being stirred up on purpose. Um, the airports here, there was just a plane that crashed. How much of this is from people not being paid going on? This is already breaking, come tomorrow, breaking the record for a government shutdown. We've never, this will be 36 days tomorrow of a government shutdown. So, 2026 banking and capital markets outlook. The year ahead will likely demand bold choices as banks balance macro headwinds, AI ambition, and the potential disruptive entrance of stablecoins. So, all this, understand stablecoins, like the government does so much, they name something the opposite of what it is. Affordable care was anything but affordable. Stablecoin is anything but stable. Um, and what we're going into is AI. People, they're laying off thousands upon thousands of people now because the jobs are able to go to AI. And so this is going to continue to really affect the economy. And with the government shutdown on top of it, could be a very dangerous domino effect that we're seeing. Um, but here they want to not just control the government, the government, obviously the economy, but everything. Social media, they want to really be thought police. And so here, battle for digital sovereignty. The big tech giants, they're working on national sovereignty, even to work to end that. Because again, the goal is that everybody consolidates into one. So the WEF is talking about ending your anonymity on social media. And you can see how that'll be used against the gospel during the tribulation period. And already, in the US with Real ID, we're already moving to digital ID. It's already happened. And social media accounts, already my husband said he was on Google and it wanted him to put in his credit card, not his credit card, his driver's license. And they use it, they say, oh, well, this is to protect so kids can't get into things, but we see that'll be used for everybody to where they'll be able to track down, not that they can't already know everything that we already are, you know? And yeah, the data centers in the US, we have more data centers than I believe all other places like combined already. It is ridiculous, the ones that are planned to be opened. So the US is really leading the way in these data centers, which is very, very concerning. So not only that, but there's this precious metal manipulation that's going on. Because remember, again, in order to control the economy of the world, the US economy has to get hit down because you have to take away the people's rights to be sovereign themselves. So everybody has to come into this, you'll own nothing and the beast will be happy, right? And so here we're seeing that precious metals, they're being manipulated to hide the global currency crisis. So I thought this was really interesting because here it's saying that the market correction is blatant manipulation orchestrated by major financial institutes to protect the ailing US dollar and pave the way for a global digital control system. So when you look at this, already things are being manipulated in order to hide how in trouble our dollar is. And then you look at the domino effect that can happen from the government shutdown and the banks that are trying to um they're 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 selling good assets to get quick money because they don't have enough money in the system because already of the people that are not getting paid in the government shutdown. You add on top of that the people that are not going to get the SNAP benefits, and people love to say, oh, well, that's just poor people. No, 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 no. And we should care about the poor. It's just, this is crazy to me how people just get a political side and they can't see straight anymore. Um, for every $1 of SNAP, it is $1.50 that goes into the economy. So just think about that alone is a domino. And then you add on to that grocery stores that aren't going to get the amount of money that they normally would. This is a domino that goes through the economy. You look at the airports that are slowing down and are having lots of these cancellations and things because people aren't getting paid and they're calling in sick. There are this domino effect that's going to further hurt the economy when already they're trying to tank the US dollar under the table. So it's all going to happen without people realizing just how bad it's getting. That's why a lot of the stuff with the banks, you're not hearing about it because they want to do it quietly. So, but hey, what do you expect the end to look like, right? God told us what the end would look like. And the enemy has been preparing for this. So, the very first president of the UN General Assembly said this famous quote, just telling us how the enemy is chopping at the bit for this. What we want is a man of sufficient stature to hold the allegiance of all people and to lift us out of the economic morass in which we're sinking. Now, this is years ago. We just had what, the 80th General Assembly? So send us such a man, be he God or devil, and we'll receive him. Yeah, they will. That's their plan. And then this is King Charles when he was just lowly Prince Charles a few years back. And we know that this is talking about the one world government, basically the Antichrist rule. We know that this will take trillions, not billions of our dollars, with the true wealth at his disposal, far beyond the global GDP, and with the greatest respect beyond even the governors of the world's leaders. It offers the only real prospect for achieving fundamental economic transition. And that is the goal, because in order to control the world, you've got to control the economy. You have to control, just like God said they would, it buying and selling. You cannot buy or sell without the mark. So they got to that's what they're working on right now, is getting the world to that place. But first, before the mark, the world is going to be consolidated into 10 kings that will then bring all their power behind the Antichrist. And so these will rule when the Antichrist rules. So these come into power at the same time as the Antichrist and will give their power over to him. So this seems to be a reaction to something happening on the world stage. So it could be this financial break. Because understand, what's happening in America isn't in a silo. This is a global economic collapse that we're witnessing happening. Whether they're going to do this really fast, like what it looks like right now, or whether they're going to slow down and it'll be a slow bleed until after the rapture, we still have to wait and see. But something is going to happen, and it could be the rapture, that allows that quick put together of these 10 kings because they come to power along with the Antichrist. So Revelation 17:12 through 13. The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but will receive 1 hour of authority as kings along with the beast. So this happens at the same time. These kings have one purpose: to yield their power and authority to the beast. And we already see from the slide ahead before this, we already see that's already in their heart. And the 10 horns are 10 kings who will rise from this kingdom. After them, another king, different from the earlier ones, will arise and subdue 3 kings. Daniel 7:24. So it's talking about the same 10. And then Daniel 2:41 through 42. And just as you saw that the feet and toes were made partly of fiery clay and partly of iron, so this will be a divided kingdom. Some of the strength of iron will be in it, just as you saw the mixed clay with the some is iron mixed with clay. And also the toes and the feet will be partly iron and partly clay. So this kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. So the world stage is racing toward this right now, preparing the infrastructure to implement this crushing control. Once the catalyst happens, they'll have their infrastructure in place for the mark, for this complete control. They've got to get their ducks in a row beforehand, because think about this. This is just 7 years, and they have to have the mark ready to go by the midpoint of that time. So this is a very short period of time to really do a lot. And we see the rise of blockchain that's connected to your biochemistry. So we see blockchain and digital tracing program. They're currently setting the stage for the coming mark of the beast and the ability of the Antichrist to control the world. And we've talked about this before too, because it's not just control what you buy or sell, but it's also controlling you, your mind, your ability. It's a way for him to actually get inside of people through this mark.